Welcome to Coast with New Canaan Society. The first week of each month, the New Canaan Society podcast flies to the 30,000 foot level. Soaring across the country, we go coast to coast about men, our movement, and deeper meaning. So hold on. With Manhattan chapter Dr. Chip Roper on the East Coast and NCS President Mason Rutledge on the West Coast, here we go. Coast to Coast.
So Mason, we've had these podcast conversations in a number of places.
This is a pretty good spot right here.
And what do you think?
This is pretty nice.
I mean, we're here in Naples,
Florida.
Naples, Italy. We're going to do that next month. We'll be in Naples.
Think about it, Naples, NCS Naples. It'd be nice to have a problem because we got too many Naples in our ministry.
Yeah. That. I don't know. I don't know if the NCS censors are going to let that one slip.
No, that sounded a little awkward. We just wrapped up our 3-day national board retreat, hosted by one of our board members down here in Naples, Florida. It was really a powerful time, and I think on the podcast today, it's a little bit we're going to focus on. It's just the state of New Canaan Society as we start the year. This will go out. This podcast will be sent a week from now, or upload a week from now. We just wrapped up at the end of January here, and it'll go out on
beginning of February. And some of us, I think, all of us are part of a local chapter, or most of us are.
If you're not, why aren't you?
Yeah, why aren't you?
Let's go.
Are you part of a local chapter?
Whoops. Start one. How about that? Start one.
Well, there's one like
part of every chapter.
Port Angeles, right? Like it's only it's like 8 hours from you or something.
Yeah, I could get there by boat probably faster than any other way. Port Angeles is talking about starting a couple of good guys out there. It was not on our map, but they came to us. And I've got a guy in Bellevue, Washington. If you don't know, I live in Everett. We call this NCS Coast to Coast. We didn't even tell it what the title was. We just kind of dove in.
Yeah, we're just diving in.
Coast to Coast. Chip is, as we'll talk about it, Chip is our new NCS board chair and lives in Queens, Manhattan, New York.
Queens is not part of Manhattan.
I know. I kept going because I wasn't sure, but
you just keep going. You keep going until you get it right.
And we
appreciate that.
Which is on the East Coast. And then I live in Everett, Washington, home of Boeing, America's favorite plane.
Not your favorite right now.
I have had 5 flights since that door blew off the plane in Portland, and I've had 4 of them canceled, including getting home from Naples. I'm now flying an American flight through Dallas or something like that. I don't know. They're doing the best they can. I feel for them. I grew up Boeing. Anyway, so we just wrapped up, and we have guys on our board that are from around the country. We had 100% turnout at the board meeting, which was the board retreat, which is amazing. San Francisco was here, Houston, New York, of course, Naples, Grosse Pointe, Detroit.
Michigan area.
Yeah. And
Texas.
Dallas and Houston both.
Winston-Salem,
of course. They're always kind of waving the flag. It was a wonderful time, and the weather was spectacular. They're actually having a little bit of an unseasonably warm time, which even the normal warmth would be good enough for us coming from the cold north.
Totally. Yeah, I didn't get any marriage points for going to Florida. And you did.
Yeah, Brenda came down with me. She retired. I told you. We just
couldn't make it work.
So she came down and has just enjoyed her time. She hasn't been a part of anything with the board. It was a pretty intense time for the time we met, and so we just went after it, and it's been good.
Yeah, and guys might not realize. So we have a board, and it's representative of the whole geographical network. Everybody who's on the board has been part of leading chapters, part of leading regional things, or they've been speakers at many chapters, So they're very like they have a lot of firsthand knowledge of what goes on in NCS. And, we sometimes think of our purpose as a board as being a steward of the movement, because you can't control a movement. Like you don't pull levers for a movement, right? You can nurture it, but you can't control it. And so that's why we have a board to kind of, I don't know,
shepherd,
but also step back and make sure we're living up to our calling
Right.
as a network of men being transformed, transformed in friendship with Jesus and friendship with each other.
Yeah, we had very engaging conversations around Isaiah 6 and John 21. I think those were probably our most fruitful times. But we did spend a chunk of time talking about what does it look like to have a healthy NCS chapter.
Yeah, we did.
And that was fascinating. We broke up into small groups, did work, writing, talking, texting, emailing, and then shared it together and melded it. And it was powerful. We have a chapter leader retreat, or any of you that are chapter leaders or on a chapter leadership team, plan on being with us in Orlando, March 7th and 8th for the chapter leader retreat, and we'll roll out some of our thinking at that and continue to refine it with you all, and looking forward to that time.
It's going to be really good.
Yeah, it is going to be good. I mean, speaking of retreats, we should just put a plug in here. This will be our commercial break.
We're going to have a commercial break?
Let's go to commercial
Already?
break. Yeah,
We're only like 2 minutes into
I know, you got to grab them early.
Okay.
New Canaan Society retreats are coming up.
Yeah, and you sent out a very, I was going to say sexy email about all the retreats. There's like 6 of them on there or something, 7.
All my emails are sexy.
Really?
I don't know. Just sexy. There's nothing.
So we've been working. One of the things we worked on in the board retreat is Mason's self-awareness, and we still obviously have some work to do with that last comment. Sorry, brother.
Yeah. The only thing is I am aware that was over the line and funny. That's the thing that's really awkward about that. Retreats coming up. We have the Texas retreat is coming up the first weekend. It's March 1 through 3 at Iron Horse, and you can find this all on the NCS website by the way. And then the next weekend is the SEMA retreat, Southeast and Mid-Atlantic retreat, and that's in Orlando at the Orlando Champions Gate Resort.
Which is where we had our national retreat.
We're national retreat. I visited on Tuesday. We've got an awesome room. We've got an incredible fire pit for Friday night social time. We have a really good setup there, so I'm excited about that time together. They've got some new stuff on the golf course. It's going to be fun to be a part of. So it was a good visit, and then we bounce all the way till May, where we have the Northeast Regional Retreat, which is at Terrytown, which I haven't been to before, but you have been.
Yeah, it's great. It's kind of OG classic retreat type place, just north of the city. Pretty views of the Hudson and the hills. And
May 3 and 4.
Yeah, May 3 and 4. And super hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good food.
And then the Chicagoland's going to have a day-long retreat on May 4th. So it's the same weekend. A little bit of a bummer that happens. And California is working on their retreat. They've had a real hard time finding a location. So I think it's going to be the next weekend. I'm just hoping it's not the same weekend, which is a possibility. I don't know if I said
We have to get you the Concorde.
I'm going to be bouncing around.
Remember the Concorde?
I do.
Is that a plane that they feel?
Alaska Airlines.
As they have it. It's the one that cracked up.
The one that smashed into the ground. I'll tell you what, a door never came off a Concorde.
Now the whole thing just comes apart.
Who built the Concorde? Was that a British-made plane?
It was British Airways.
That flew it. I don't know who built it. Anyway, and then the last retreat will be, the 6th retreat will be this fall in Colorado, in Vail, and that's in September. And all that information's on the website. This is ending of the commercial now. Go to an NCS retreat. Honestly, you should go. It's not a matter of thinking about, wow, maybe I'll figure. Just go. There's 6 of them. They're all over the place. They're all over the year. Find one and go to it. Shoot, go to 2 of them.
Yeah, I want to double click on that because all of us have the journey of at one point not being part of NCS, and then you get introduced to it, right? You get somehow, and when I started to go to Manhattan, the Gathering, which is great, and they start talking about these retreats, and I was a poor guy from Pennsylvania. Like, I was like, why am I going to spend all this money for this retreat? And, but when I went to the first one, I was blown away. I was blown away just by the the guys that were in the room, the guys that were on the platform, the pace, like we're, the multiple happy hours and all this other stuff. Like it's kind of not your dad's retreat, Christian retreat with a bunch of guys with the untucked flannel shirts kind of vibe. It's, it's a little more diverse, a little more intense, a little classier, but it was super fun and it was super inspiring. And it really changes you meet people from a wider geography. We meet guys from a wider geography that are all going after the same thing. And it just, I don't know, it accelerates the impact of NCS on your life as a man, and it accelerates your connectivity to the wider thing, which provides opportunities for you to have an impact on others.
Right. And I do think it deepens your relationship with Christ. Like you get to know, and that's what you're saying with all that, you get to know him in deeper and new ways as you interact with men from around the country, different vocations, different stages of life, and you go, oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah.
Or I see it through a new lens. I remember the first retreat I went to was a regional retreat in the Southeast, 2019 or 2020, Howie in the Hills. And it was the first weekend of March of 2020. If you think back, that was the very start of the pandemic. And I'm the guy from Seattle where the pandemic started in the U.S.
Thank you, Mason. We appreciate that.
I flew the COVID across the country.
Thank you for sharing.
And it was funny because I don't think I had COVID, but I wasn't feeling good. Back then, you didn't think about it. I'm like, I'm just not feeling that great. And it really ramped up while I was there.
You didn't feel that great. You just breathed right into the circulation system of the aircraft.
But when you talked about guys going hard, I mean, these guys went, it's like, are you guys sleeping? Are you doing anything? It's like, go, 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 go. Even last night as a part of the board retreat, we were at a restaurant. One of the owners of a national chain of restaurants lives here in Naples and is involved in New Canaan Society, a very generous guy, and he invited us to one of his local restaurants in downtown Naples, and we had a wonderful dinner there. And dinner ended, we had a little private room, and it just kept going.
Oh, yeah.
What time did you guys, I left early.
We probably left by, 9:30.
Do you remember what I left with, though? Did you see that?
I heard this story.
Grabbed a bottle of wine on the way out.
You like an open bottle?
Open bottle. I'm not going to take a closed bottle of wine, but open bottle of wine.
What were you doing? You're on the road. Like, is this something we need to talk about?
Brenda's with me.
Oh, that's true.
We have today.
Well, at least
tonight.
You say Brenda's with you, but none of us have seen her.
It's my excuse for taking a bottle. So I look around. I go, nobody's. They were serving us bottles of wine instead of glasses. So there's like this half full bottle of Chardonnay, and by the way, these are good bottles of wine. They're not clunky. And so I look at the guy who's kind of the connection to the owner. I said, what's the rules here? What do you guys do with these bottles of wine? And he said, just put it under your jacket. I didn't put it under my jacket, but I did carry it out. And I might have gone through a back door to exit out the place, but there's a story to tell there.
We like a president with some tactical savvy. That's not bad.
At least I didn't. I put it in the trunk when I got to the car. It was clearly in the trunk.
It reminds. I was having dinner with our NCS speaker in Manhattan one time, and we had a bottle of wine, and we didn't finish it. And he's like, "Just take the bottle." It was good. And it was near Christmas, which meant all the streets around Rockefeller Center are cordoned off, and there's police everywhere.
Oh,
because it's a mob scene. It's a happy Christmas mob scene. And I'm like walking out of this restaurant with this open bottle of wine. It's not in a bag or anything. And
it's not in a bag.
And there's like all these police everywhere. Yeah. And I'm like, I might not make it to NCS tomorrow morning. I might, we still. So I quickly hopped in a cab and smuggled my wine out.
We should really have maybe a seminar or just a say-so, a show and tell.
Lunch and learn.
A lunch and learn on state laws concerning the leaving a restaurant with a bottle of wine. Because in Washington State, you could do it. It does need to be in a bag. California, you could drink that thing on the way out of the door, all the way onto the train, and all the way home. No problemo. No open container law. You go, girl.
We used to be able to drink on trains in New York, and then SantaCon kind of ruined that.
You still go to the bathroom, though, right?
Well,
happens.
It happens. How to make the most out of your half drunk bottle of wine, or is it drunk or drink? Consumed. Your half consumed bottle of wine.
Yes. And when it's a good bottle of wine, I'm this is the deal of my life. I talk, my adult kids make fun of me about this, is I'm a grandchild of the Depression. That's like worse than a child of the Depression, because my grandma hit me over the head. My mom hit me over the head with, you finish everything. Don't leave anything out there.
Is that why you wouldn't pay for valet parking last night?
Yeah, last
night. And
night.
we just like circling the block over and over and over.
Did we find free parking?
Eventually.
Did we find free parking? Yeah, Chip and I were in the car driving over there to dinner, and if you haven't, by the way, I would say this about downtown Naples. I think it's one of the coolest centralized downtowns.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's
fun,
gorgeous,
clean,
fun,
tons of great restaurants,
good restaurants, and not like, and nobody's making a mess of it. It's really excellent. I drove through it this morning on the way to the meeting here, and it's just beautiful. So there you go.
So let's get back to national
Tourism Naples.
We've ranged far and wide.
We have.
But
As
so there's
we
this
do.
national board, national staff.
Mm-hmm.
How's it fit into the picture? Like, what's national do?
Well, first of all, I think it's important. We had 100% of our board here, which is a rarity on nonprofit boards. It's not uncommon to. I had a board meeting this week that I literally just spaced on a local board, and I'm in my office, and I realize halfway through, shoot,
Wah, wah.
wah wah. Not going to happen with a travel to board retreat, but. I think there's a lot of things that the national board does more than anything. They need to make sure that we stay centered on the person of Jesus and the truths that he taught. And
So the friendship with Jesus, vertical axis thing.
these guys are the ones that are ensuring we stay focused on the main thing, that we keep our priorities correct. And I could tell you, as a part of our time, we did that. Our most significant conversations were about Jesus and his call on the life of men. So that's first and foremost. Secondly, I think and again, here I am. I'm. Let's be honest. I'm 7 months in New Canaan Society. I wasn't here before. I might have known about it. I might have run a rogue chapter that nobody knew about. I may have gone to a retreat just to steal ideas, but.
None of those has been factually corroborated.
Yeah, I'll admit to the stealing ideas. I steal them like a bottle of wine. You won't even know it hit you.
You do steal bottles
Yeah,
of
I
wine,
do.
apparently.
And I won't take the
This is the
ideas.
pattern. Did that come out in when we vetted you?
No, stealing did not come out. And then and that, by the way, that's going to save me a good $25 tonight on dinner. I'm just saying, I'm cheap.
You are cheap.
I am cheap. That's why I didn't pay for the valet. Where was I going with that? The importance to keep the product strong, the brand strong. I was talking to Greg Brenneman, who's a supporter of ours and a friend,
Good friend to the network,
and speaker.
Yep.
And he said he's on the board of Home Depot, been the CEO at Burger King, Quiznos, Continental Airlines. I mean,
PwC, too.
Okay, yeah,
just everywhere.
Everywhere. He said to me, New Canaan Society punches above its weight. And I was like, that's good. And what that means is we've got a really good brand. It's solid. And we've got, even in all the struggles we've had, we've got a great reputation. And part of it is, I think, the way we've handled those struggles that any organization has. We haven't tried to stay away from them or steer away from them. We've leaned into them. And so that's part of what the board does, is make sure that we keep the brand good.
And sometimes people in Christian land, we freak out about the term brand, but it's really like, it's our reputation. It's our promise.
Quality.
It's what promise are we making to the world?
Yeah.
And for us, that promise is not just like, it's not a marketing thing. It's a God thing. It's like God's put his mark on us, which is something you share when you share your story. And yeah, it's really what we're promising to him in some sense, but also to each other and to all the guys we currently are serving and the ones we want to reach.
Every man that walks into a New Canaan Society chapter is trusting us at some level to deliver on something.
Trusting their friend, and they're trusting something good's going to happen in that room.
And then we're not going to be jerks or wrong or lead them astray. I got a text message from a buddy this morning about an event coming up, and he's like, I'm not going to this, and you're not going to this. And look, he was being funny, but he's true. It's just, we're not going to be, there's certain organizations today that you can't trust because you're not exactly sure where they're at. I don't want that to ever be the case with New Canaan Society. You're going to know what we're about, what we're at. You know, one of our board members said, thanks to New Canaan Society, I've received loads of transformation. I no longer hate myself. I like myself because of New Canaan Society. Wow.
Yeah, we're like actually eating our own cooking.
Oh, yeah. Even during the board meeting, we did it. I mean, we one of the compliments a board member said at the end of our time at this board retreat said, I just feel like I know each other better. And I'm thinking, haven't you guys worked together for like 10 years, you know? But after this time, with 100% attendance, guys leaning in, we know each other better. And I think one of the things we need to continue to do that the board helps lead us on, so there's stay centered on Jesus. And that's not even a permission to play. That is so elevated. It shouldn't even be mentioned, but it needs to remain to be mentioned in today's world. Secondly, we have to ensure that we're staying true to what we're about, our DNA. The board helps do that. And then we need to, and the board needs to make sure we're inviting men to something greater than themselves. And it's a vision casting. It's a vision casting. And it's not we always we want to stay clear of to-dos because men are always given to-dos. I mean, it's not about to-doing, it's about to-being. Is that a thing? How can we call men to be more in love with Jesus and have a bigger heart for their community? And
I don't know though.
Yeah.
I think we do that doing thing it sounds really good on the surface, then you poke into it. It's kind of hard to totally separate. Yeah. I'm thinking that what we're calling men to do is lean into their purpose.
That's good. Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times, it's a little bit of the halftime thing, success to significance, but I think a lot of times high capacity marketplace guys that they've gone out there into the, whatever world, done battle, done well. They're trying to figure out now what. And they're trying to figure out, what do I pour myself into? And I think what we've found over the years of NCS is that, we've got a lot of different kind of guys. Everybody's it's a welcoming community. Everybody's welcome at the table. And that a lot of it's been driven by these high capacity guys that say, this is my purpose. My purpose is to use my resources, my network, my time to set the table for other guys. To create a space where they can be transformed in community and they can really meet Jesus in a way that's accessible and real, not overly pious and stuffy and pretend. And so in a sense, it's a platform. And we have a platform,
right,
for guys to really serve God in the world, to give to other guys, especially guys in business, something they didn't have when they were younger. And this whole thing is really it's a collection of guys that buy into that,
right. The platform needs to be. This is good. This will work. The platform needs to be built on the rock. That rock's Jesus. But then we need to build the platform. And the truth is that platform is built by men for men. And the board is the one that's thinking about how that platform is built so we build it correctly. And then we invite guys to make New Canaan Society your ministry.
Yes. That's good.
Invite men. Be a part of it. Take leadership. Somebody needs to set up the sound. Somebody needs to put together the email. Somebody needs to input names into the database. That can be your role. And the truth is, we had a great year. I mean, we haven't talked about this. We should. We increased our number of donors by 61% over last year, which was great. It was a little bit predictable without having a CEO and now having a CEO. But what was really striking is we reduced the number of lapsed donors. That's people that gave last year but not this year, to a number half the lowest amount it's ever been in the last 5 years, to about a third. So we really greatly reduced the number of lapsed donors. We've got guys more engaged.
So, I mean, there's some hustle. You've been doing some hustle around that. I know that big push at the end of the year. But as you've been talking to some of these folks, because you've talked to a lot of them, like, what are they saying? Like, why are they giving? What are they seeing in this that makes it something they want to be part of financially?
Yeah, if I had a phone number for our donors, I called every donor that gave in November and December personally and said, thank you. And of course, a lot of voicemails, but a lot of conversation.
What'd you learn?
They're so, these are donors, so they are so thankful. Like, they're thankful for the movement. They're thankful for my call. They can't believe they have this opportunity. They love the movement and what we're doing. I mean, those calls are always a blessing. Even if I get somebody that's like, they picked it up in a meeting, they're like, oh yeah, I'm super thankful. Got to call you back. And so the thing I learned more than anything is we've got grateful men. That would be which is interesting to say. I don't always, in the world today, I don't always run into grateful men. Maybe you don't either. Grateful people. People are, you might describe them as competitive or task-oriented or grumpy, judgmental. These people that I'm calling are grateful. They've been through stuff and they're ready. The thing, we started our board retreat. We talked about Isaiah 6, like I said, and one of our board members said this. They said, "This is a movement of sent men." That's beautiful.
Well, remind us of the movement of Isaiah 6.
Well, that's the woe is me. I'm lost. I'm a man of unclean lips. It's right at the start of Isaiah, a long chapter, famous prophet, and he says this hot coal has come off the altar and has touched my lips. And I'm going to use Oswald Chambers' My Utmost for his highest translation, because he has a writing on this verse, and he says the hot coal has come off the altar. It's touched my lips, and I'm compelled. I think the NIV says, "Behold, this has touched your lips, your guilt is taken away, and your sin is atoned for." And then he says, "Here am I, send me." There's, if a hot coal touches you, you're moving. And I love it that it touches the lips, because we are a vocal ministry. We have speakers, we have conversations. We don't have written curriculum. It's not like, we don't even have a video curriculum. We are people of a narrative. We have an oral tradition. And so it's beautiful that it touches the lips. And
we also have that woe is me experience. Like, I think whenever you hear an NCS guy's story, he talks in one way or another about being brought to the end of himself and having this like, I missed the train. I screwed up. I ran my life into a ditch. I realized there's a God and it isn't me. There's this moment of deep spiritual clarity that usually comes at the end of a lot of striving, spiritual or otherwise, usually not spiritual, but and it's like, but we have that woe is me thing, but God doesn't. And you talked about this. So Mason, before our board retreat, Mason shared at the Naples chapter, double duty, brother. Yeah, double duty. And it was great. But you were talking about how God qualifies all of us. We're all qualified because of Him, not in and of ourselves, but we are qualified because of Him. And that's like, we're sent, we're qualified, we're deputized. We're on mission.
Well, I have a tremendous heart for the Naples chapter. And this is many chapters. I have a tremendous heart for all of our chapters, but especially Naples. I mean, there's 81 guys in the room. It was packed. I mean, their room is...
And they all get their walkers, and they bring them.
That is the joke.
And it's like, it takes a lot of work to get your walker out and get out of the,
It's not, the average age is up there, but there's still some young dudes there. They always get the hard time because it's Naples is a little bit of God's waiting room. It's like, here, this is the next step. But the guys that are here have done well. You're not in Naples and have not done well. And because the average temperature is probably like 74 or something, and there's water everywhere. It's a place you can kind of take it easy, and golf courses. And I just want to challenge them. You guys are deputized. We need you. We need you in the game. Do not move to Naples and retire and drop out of this thing. We need you speaking into your prodigal son needs you in his life. Your wife is not done because you've been married for 40 years. That marriage still needs to be nurtured. You still need to court her. You need to love well. You need to love your neighbors. You need to love, if you still have employees, love your employees. And so I was really, that talk kind of came out of me, because you've heard my story a few times. It was a little bit different this time, and I think that was it. Was that sense of going, we need you, fellas. Don't not be in the game. Be in the game.
It's a vision, right? And so the national board doesn't just like, we have to protect kind of like who we are, and we have to eat our own cooking and protect our integrity and that kind of thing, and kind of model this out. And we need to catalyze the platform and all that kind of thing. But we also have to cast a vision. And one of the things I appreciate about your talks, actually I felt this way, and I've heard it 3 or 4 times. It's like you get into that a little bit. What's a vision for a man and their purpose, and that they're qualified and they're sent and there's things for them to do. But part of what we talked about a little bit on our retreat was the vision for the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Like what are we really trying to go after? If we got out there 10 years, and 10 years, and this world is crazy. Think about 10 years ago. Netflix was still sending DVDs in the mail, probably.
Were they really?
I don't know. How long?
All right. Well, I have the NCS fact checker.
Yeah.
After the censor gets done, then we'll send it to the fact checker.
But 10 years from now, so when you get out that far, it's like, the only way that's going to happen is God is going to do it. I'm not going to be in the job. You're not going to be in the job, probably. And so it needs to be beyond us. And we prayed about that and talked about that. What do we want to be about? And it's funny because it drove some of our conversation about the quality of our current work, I think, because that came later. And I think guys were like, okay, let's drill down on this, because if we're not, the big number, the 10-year goal doesn't matter if we're not doing it great locally. And it was a powerful time. We're not releasing anything today or anytime soon, but the conversation's been started. I had a number of people praying for this time, which I think for all us men, don't go it alone. Get men around you that are praying for you in specific challenges and in trying times. And the board meeting for me as a staff person, as a CEO, it's a significant time. So I probably had my pastor and probably 10 other guys praying, including my old board. I had a bunch of them prayed because they know how I work. And so anyway, my point being, they prayed it up, and I was praying. I asked them to pray for a ping moment. That's Collins' Good to Great. When you get that ping.
I thought it was a golf club.
No, and the Bible says a prick in the heart. There's just that thing. You just kind of go, that's it. And I'm not sure we got close. We didn't get there, but we got really close. And so it was. The discussion led us way further down the road than I thought it would. And we've got more work to do, but it was fantastic. And that's your original question was, what does the board do? That's what it does, really.
That's why we protect, we nurture, and we also have to project into the future. And that's the part where we're all going to be working on all those things.
Right.
Definitely.
And I was meeting with a guy in Wilmington, our New Canaan Society chapter there, and he said the real value of NCS is 1 or 2 brothers that I can share anything with. So even when we talk about the big stuff, the real value always comes down to the table conversation that I had in Naples yesterday morning with 4 other guys, and out of that has already spurned or grown a text conversation with one of those guys, following up on it. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of it for all of us. So
it's a great text we looked at this morning, which was the John 21 one, where Jesus walks Peter through. He's kind of giving Peter a reset because Peter's got to go back after denying Jesus 3 times. Jesus gives him a chance to reaffirm his love 3 times. Mm-hmm. But the takeaway from that is not, okay, good, we're good. The takeaway is go feed my sheep. It's like and it's the same sequence that this wasn't really intentional, but it's the way it is. It was intentional, but not on my part for choosing those. But it's like you're changed, and then you become an agent of change. And I think that it's just like that's the way it works.
It's true.
And you're not making this up. Like you're not manufacturing this. This is what you've been through, and now it's time to pass it on, pay it forward, share it with others.
We, my Seattle friends will know this person, Roger Blair. I brought him up in the meeting today because he always says, "Feed my sheep." So I'll have lunch with him. He'll say, "Feed my sheep" 8 times. Feed my sheep, and we feed men. Mm-hmm. That's what we do, and the only way that happens is by other men providing that platform.
That's right.
Through donations, through leading a chapter,
through relationships,
through invitation, and so I'm just thankful, that we have by being on a board like this and doing it. So we are a blessed ministry, and I'm so thankful for the invitation I've been given to help guide and shepherd and walk with, especially this team of board members. Just so you know, if you're out there and you're involved in New Canaan Society, you've got a great national board with a tremendous heart and a depth of love for this ministry that is astounding. There's nobody on the board that's kind of like, well, I'm just checking them. I'm on the NCS board. No, they're all in. And
we're all in with you, man. We are so glad that God brought you to us.
I'm having fun with everybody.
Still first year for early innings, but we just appreciate your heart, your vulnerability, your passion, your work ethic, and your candor.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't always appreciate your candor. Well, I don't. You have this weird vocabulary. I think it's a Seattle thing. And we're still working on the Mason dictionary. Like you use dog and in all these weird ways. But
just 2 ways.
Yeah, but see, you can't. It doesn't work.
But even today in our meeting, it was funny because Chip, is leading the board meeting. He's bringing into this positive finish, and I'm like, I brought up a subject, and I was like, oh, that's probably a little tinge negative. I don't mean that negative. I'm learning, and it's good. It's good.
Well, I had forgotten that, but now that you're
thanks. I'm a dog.
Yeah, whichever meaning of that you want.
I tell these guys, there's DAWG dog, and that's good. Like these guys are dogs. And then there's a DOG that's like, this contract is a dog.
Yeah, that's way too complicated. I think we just need to excise both those words.
Well, Sammy said I need to work on my adjectives. I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, I will say this. You know how people can just confirm what you said earlier is by one of the ways they can serve if you don't want to help build a platform is to like this, to comment on this podcast, share it with a friend, let guys in the chapters know, or shoot, even like guys around your workplace know. There's a podcast about marketplace men where they're talking about a movement across the country of godly, Jesus-loving, people-serving marketplace men. That's New Canaan Society. So, thanks. This has been good.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Chip.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the New Canaan Society podcast. Remember to subscribe and comment. For more about NCS, go to newcanansociety.org. God bless.